saying that PACAF has sent this this letter around. Leaders of the base are instructed: do not use pronouns, age, race, etc. And they go on. The unauthorized examples of unauthorized language are male, female, youngest, oldest, he, she. But you're saying that that was not an official communication. That has not been a directive.
That is not an official communication from the HAF. Correct.
Okay. Okay. And so your position to me is today that that is not policy, and that they have not been so instructed.
That is correct.
This is
that
social
is not
media
policy.
kerfuffle. I mean, this is not real.
Hey everybody, welcome back. You just saw that snippet and you heard that right. We are about to watch a clip where a United States Senator in an official hearing has to ask a general from the Air Force how banning the words he and she is supposed to help us win a war. I am not kidding. This is where we're at. This is what the leadership at the Pentagon is reportedly focused on. While China is building a navy, we're apparently having debates about grammar. Senator Josh Hawley is in this hearing, and he is asking the questions that we are all screaming at our screens. You have to see this. Let's run the whole clip, and then we are definitely breaking this down.
To the witnesses for being here. General Stitt, let me talk with you. Let me start with you, if I could. I have spoken repeatedly with the Secretary of the Army about replacing aging homes at Fort Leonard Wood in my home state, and there is no doubt in my mind that service members deserve better than they are getting right now. I was just there a few weeks ago. I toured the homes myself. I spoke to residents. I spoke to spouses. I spoke to children who lived in the homes. These homes need to be replaced. What concerns me is the Army doesn't seem to have a plan to replace this aging housing stock. So let me just ask you this. In your opinion, how does the availability, or maybe lack of availability, of quality military housing for service members and their families affect recruiting and retention?
Senator Hawley, good afternoon. The Army takes the care and quality of life of all of our service members and their families very seriously. So we are making and committed to investing in our housing within not just that, but within our daycare centers, child care, offering opportunities, expanding beyond that for spousal employment, to put kind of a whole package on the table to ensure that our facilities and our care and commitment towards family members is first class.
You say a whole package. When will we be seeing this package?
Senator, we continue to work on it, and I can take that question for the record, please.
Well, that's fine. I mean, but let me just say again, for the record, I've said this in the full committee, I'll say it again here, that I think we're past the point of continuing to kick this down the road. I mean, this is a problem now. Frankly, at Fort Leonard Wood, it was a problem a decade ago. But listen, I've been there. I mean, I've seen it myself. I've talked to the service members myself. I've been in their houses. I've been in their kitchens. I've looked at their bathrooms where there's mold growing. I've seen that they don't have places for their kids. I've seen the substandard living conditions, and it just isn't acceptable, General. You know what? I promised those service members that I'd be a royal pain in the you-know-what until something changed. So I'm keeping that commitment, and I'm going to continue it until something changes. And frankly, I've heard this now it's going on 2 years. I've only been in the Senate 3, but I've heard it continuously that, well, we'll get to it, we'll get to it, we'll get to it. Well, at Fort Leonard Wood, we haven't gotten to it. And I bet, if we went around the table here, I bet that the other members of the subcommittee would have the same situation in their state. So I'll give you the question for the record, but I just want to put on notice again, and you can take this back, that I want to see some progress on this, and I want to see it soon. And what I don't want to see are any more commitments from the Army that they're going to spend X number of dollars. This happened last year. We're going to commit X number of dollars to Fort Leonard Wood, and then as it turns out, $0 were spent on housing. I'm still ticked off about that, and I don't want to see it happen again, and I want to see progress made. So that's my piece. I think you understand where I'm coming from. General Miller, let me come to you. Can you help me with something here? Anderson Air Force Base, I understand, this is in Guam, of course. Leaders there recently received an official email that prohibited them from using pronouns or descriptors like he, she, youngest, oldest, male, or female. Why is that? I mean, what's going on?
Senator Hawley, thank you for that question. Actually, that is, we've been talking a lot about that because it was an email, from my understanding, that went out locally from one of the commanders there, and I don't remember at what level. I don't know if it was a group commander or the wing commander there. I believe that it was a Facebook post that went out based on a question. It is not the Air Force policy to not use pronouns. And so I think it was a social media, exacerbated by individuals that said that they were directed for that.
Okay, good. Well, I think that's progress. So you're saying, I'm looking at a news article here published August 31, 2022, saying that PACAF has sent this letter around. Leaders of the base are instructed, do not use pronouns, age, race, etc. And they go on, the unauthorized, examples of unauthorized language are male, female, youngest, oldest, he, she. But you're saying that that was not an official communication, that has not been a directive.
That is not an official communication from the HAF, correct.
Okay. And so your position to me is today that is not policy and that they have not been so instructed.
That is
that
correct.
This is a social media
policy.
kerfuffle. I mean, this is not real. It's not happening.
I don't know if it's not happening, but it is not an official policy from the Department of the Air Force.
Okay. I ask because part of the way it's been reported is that the rationale is to help with lethality and also recruiting. And it was curious as heck how not using he, she can help with lethality and how it's helping with recruiting. But I take your word for it that this is not policy, and that satisfies me. So thank you. Thank you, Madam.
Okay, so, wow. Let's start with the part that is just blowing my mind, the pronouns. Hawley pivots to General Miller of the Air Force, and he brings up this wild report from Anderson Air Force Base. An official email telling leaders they can't use words like he, she, male, or female. I mean, what? In what universe is that a priority for the military? Now, to be fair, General Miller immediately tries to walk it back. She says, "Oh, that's not Air Force policy. That was just a local commander. It got blown up on social media." Okay, fine. Let's take her at her word. But honestly, is that even better? That means a commander in the Air Force, someone in leadership in charge of our troops, thought this was a good and necessary idea. Someone in a position of authority sat down and thought, you know what will really improve our fighting force? Banning pronouns. That to me is almost worse than it being policy because it shows you what the mindset is. It shows you the kind of absolute nonsense that is rotting the system from the inside. But this is the killer. This is the entire point. And Hawley just nails it. The reason he's asking is because the reported rationale for this insanity was that it would help with lethality. And that's where he just drops the common sense bomb on the whole proceeding. He just looks at her and says, I'm just curious as heck how not using he, she can help with lethality. Yes, thank you. That is the question. While our adversaries are building hypersonic missiles, stealing our data, and launching satellites, we have generals, or at least commanders, who think the path to victory is through an HR-approved vocabulary list. This is what Hole is so good at. He's cutting through all the bureaucratic DC woke nonsense, and he's getting to the actual point. What does this have to do with winning? What does this have to do with defending this country? And the answer is nothing. It's a dangerous distraction. It's a sign that our military leadership is focused on the wrong things. And you know what? This focus on priorities is exactly what he was doing in the first half of the clip, too. It's all connected. He was grilling that Army general about mold in military housing. He's not reading a memo. He went there. He toured the homes. He saw the substandard living conditions that our service members' families are being forced to live in. And what does he get? The exact same bureaucratic runaround. The general says, we are committed to investing in a whole package. A package? Sir, they're not asking for a spa day. They're asking for a wall that isn't caving in. And Hawley calls him out. He's ticked off because the Army promised money for this exact problem before and then spent zero. So, you see what's happening. It's the same fight. Hawley is focused on the real world. Mold, housing, lethality, the actual stuff that matters for military, and the bureaucracy is focused on packages. Taking it for the record, and yes, pronouns. He's the only one in that room who sounds like a normal person, and it's exactly why we need him. He's not afraid to call out the absurdity. This was a fantastic job. He was prepared. He was passionate about the right things. Our soldiers, and he wasn't afraid to call out the nonsense. But what do you guys think? Did that lethality line hit you as hard as it hit me? Is this what our military should be focused on? Let me know exactly what you think down in the comments. This is important.